by myself, and all these memories started coming back, and I just hit my knees and screamed and cried like a little baby.
Welcome to Forged in Silence podcast, addressing issues men face but rarely talk about. Today, we have a friend that we have just met who reached out to us through Instagram, an artist in his own right, and he's here to share part of his story and talk about loneliness and share a piece of his heart with us. And we met with him a couple days ago, and I'm excited to have Brian join us. Robbie, really excited to have Brian join us.
Me too. I'm excited to talk with Brian and talk about these things. It sounds weird when we go down rabbit holes and we get deep with each other, and that I get excited about that. But that's the truth. It is exciting because I want other men to hear the message that we're not alone. We're here. You don't have to suffer in silence. Brian had the balls to reach out and was willing to share his story, which I want to say thank you, Brian, right off the bat, because Steve and I can sit up here and share our story forever. It's just what we do and who we are. And we've got so much growth through that, so we know where it is. But for you to come and want to share your story and meet two random guys and talk about heavy stuff, I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and I appreciate you guys having me here. That's great.
So, before we dive into what I think is going to be a pretty awesome conversation, a really real conversation, I'm going to ask you, Brian, how are you? Really?
I'm good. I'm nervous because I've done some podcasts, but this is way out of my wheelhouse of what I normally do. So yeah, there's been some nervousness all day about it, but excited. So
Awesome. Okay, hand it over. Who's next?
Robbie.
Well, thank you for asking how I'm doing, really. Today has been, after last week, if you watched and listened or whatever you do, it's been an emotional week, still carrying on a lot of heavy stuff, but I feel really good. Today, I sent my daughter off on an airplane to go see her mom. There's some anxiety around that. The dad wanting to protect her, make sure she's loved and cared for, and that kind of thing. So it's weighing a little heavy on my heart. Work's been extremely busy. I've been extremely busy myself. Every day this week I've got home and hopped onto a computer and sat behind this microphone in some sort. And after that, I do something with my daughter and going to bed pretty late and waking up and doing the grind. But as always, I'm grateful to be here and talk with other men about heavy stuff, and hope we can help other men out.
Awesome.
Steve.
Oh, thank you for asking, Robbie. How am I really? As you guys heard before we hit record, I was a little bit fired up. So there's that part. My fired upness, without going on my rant, because these guys listened to it already. My fired upness comes from the lack or the, I don't know. It's the social disconnect that we get when we use social media, and now we have an AI that is being used to help people, and I think it's creating a greater social disconnect. And that's where I'm fired up. That's the part that fires me up, because O'Brien's going to talk about loneliness, so this goes right into it all. But the more we use these things and not talk to each other face to face, the greater disconnect we have. Because I could talk to a human and it could go south, and then I'm going to learn a lesson from it. And I can talk to a human and it could go really well, and I'm going to learn a lesson from it. I'll get something from it, and so will they. We'll get to share that, whether it's positive or negative. And when you do it through AI, most of it's just positive because it's going to feed you what you're looking for.
Yep.
And as much as there is the potential for it to help, I think it's going to create a greater disconnect between us as humans, and that hurts my heart. And so that's where the rant that's where that fired upness gets, and um that's that. So there's the fired upness, there's the busyness of my kids are here and I've got a week and change left with them. Actually, when I wake up tomorrow morning, it'll be a week, a full week, full 7 days left with them essentially, and then we send them back home with their mother, and so I can feel the end of that coming to a close, and I want to give them a really cool experience this weekend, and I want to, take them out for lunch and take them out for dinner, and there's the whole buying stuff and whatever, but I really, what it comes down to is they want to spend time with me. And so I want to try and give them as much of that as possible. And so right now I'm in a mixed bag of feelings when it comes to that. Like, I'm sure they're excited to go back home and see their friends and their family there. And so I can share in that excitement too. But then there's the sadness of I've only got 7 days left, and I'm not going to see them again till Christmas. So I guess there's the make that time valuable kind of thing. So that's where I'm at. I'm a little bit fired up. And I don't know what the word would be there for the kids, because it's a mixed bag. I haven't separated those out yet. But anyways, that's where I'm at. Other than that, pretty good mood. Earlier this week, I was tired as heck. And yesterday I got outside. We went paddleboarding with the kids, and I got on the river. And even though it was smoky from the forest fires, I think that helped energize me, getting out in nature. Anyways, I'll shut up now because we're 7 minutes in, and I like to talk. So we'll hand this over to Brian. Brian, you're an artist, and you're so much more than just an artist. And on this podcast, we like to talk, not so much talk about what we do, but who we are. So the floor is yours, man. The floor is yours.
Oh boy, where to start? Well, I'm a landscape and wildlife photographer. Actually, always been into photography, and it's always been part of my life. There for the longest time, I decided to kind of back away from that a little bit and give my hand at music and music recording. And uh, grew up in Iowa, moved from Iowa to California to chase, I guess, that music dream, and it had a great time, met great people. In that, I actually got back into photography while I was out there by being kind of mentored by a very well-known music photographer. And saying that, growing up, I grew up no brothers, no sisters, um, not really close neighbors either. I mean, I was pretty sparse, so I didn't have a lot of people close other than cornfields. And so I did everything alone, and spent a lot of time in the woods, a lot of time exploring, a lot of times hiking. Um, so it was kind of rough moving from that to Los Angeles, and it was something. I didn't know I didn't know how to react, being in a big city like that. And I actually met some pretty famous rock stars at the time and become friends with a bunch of them. And that was a whole nother scene that woke a farm boy up that, you wasn't expecting to even be a part of. Um, and then through that famous photographer, I was trying to learn and maybe do concert photography and music photography and all that good stuff. Well, he invited me one weekend to go to Yosemite just to get out of the city for a while. And once I came out of tunnel view and seen that valley, that's when I knew that's what I wanted to do. I was just floored. seeing that. So ended up spending more and more time out in nature. But one of the things I took from that, getting out in nature, I realized that, yeah, I'm alone all the time, but it was weird. It was a weird feeling. I felt small being there, but also felt heard, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense. Not that anybody was there hearing me, but I just, I just felt so small and insignificant. Like my problems didn't matter and
Mm-hmm.
the things didn't matter. And, the more I got into that, the more I wanted to be there. I found myself not being with the band anymore and not wanting to hang out with those guys anymore, and there are big addiction problems and issues. And I'm not one that's a drinker. I'm not one that's, I just don't get addicted to things, and I didn't want to be around that. So I ended up moving back to Iowa, and I kind of used photography to kind of, I don't know, still try to find myself and kind of what I wanted to be and what I wanted to do and navigate being alone. And so I got into it more and more. And within that time, I met someone. We started dating. It started off as a blind date. Uh, had no idea that a woman that beautiful would even be interested in me. I couldn't figure it out. Still can't figure it out to this day. But um, we got really close and started dating and seeing more things. So all of a sudden, I noticed my photography kind of started getting less and less. And I got a job working at Best Buy, and my time was working and being with her, and we ended up getting engaged. We were following through with one of our dreams was to have a log house, and so we started thinking about that and going through some companies. I actually got hold of a company in Minnesota that makes these log houses, and we touched a little bit on this when we talked before, but. Um, I was up at that place in a meeting having with them about the house we want to do, and she was supposed to meet me there, and she never showed up, and I couldn't figure out why. Well, no, what the hell did I do wrong? And she was very much into the gym and working out every day. When I finally got to check my messages and everything, she had a heart defect that nobody knew, and in the gym on the treadmill, she died, and my whole world just exploded. It went away. And I felt more alone than I'd ever felt in my life. And I kind of felt myself just really, really going into this deep, dark hole in this dark place. And I shut myself away for 2 years. I just didn't do things with the little friends that I had. I worked. I came home. I fought myself, maybe not drinking and stuff. You look into everything like that. And the darker things got and the deeper in this hole I went, I knew I needed help. And I started looking for help. And that's when I found out that there's not a lot of help out there for men. And there's not a lot of programs. There's not, you can see women's health buildings and programs and clubs and units or whatever you want to call them. And there just isn't any for men.
The
And
support system out there for men is pretty pretty shallow.
it is. It is. Not only in a professional manner, but trying to connect with somebody and be a friend and if it's a guy, trying to open up and talk how you feel is hard. I mean, not only is it hard for me, but most guys, well, like we talked about before, they're going to tell you to walk it off. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to open up. They don't want to go down that road. So I felt myself just, I couldn't find help. And I kept getting in darker and darker places. And man, I had thoughts. I wanted to end it. Um, and it was a fight every day. I fought for my life every day. And there was days I didn't think I was going to win that fight anymore.
Is that
And
when you get to that place, do you You were talking about feeling insignificant, and um, when you're in those wide open spaces, the thought crossed my mind was, do you ever get to that point where you were like, what's the point of doing anything? And I think that's what you were talking about. Like, what's the point of getting up? Um, what's the point of following my passion? What's the point of doing anything? Because none of it matters anymore. Is that
There was days I didn't get up. I just did not want to deal with anything in life. I mean, it was hard getting out of bed some days. Um, thank God for my parents. I mean, I got a real small family. I had my parents and three uncles, and aunt, and my grandmother was still alive. That was it. That's pretty much what I had for a family. And the thought of doing something drastic and hurting my parents like that is one of the things that kept me from going further down that hole.
is that what
And
is that what you found what mattered to you? Is that what was that the thing that kept you here?
the main thing, the biggest thing, yeah. Growing up, I mean, my mom didn't work. My dad worked. My dad worked. He came home. He wanted to rest. He worked hard. He worked 12, 15-hour days. So it was me and my mom. We were best friends. And I talked to her about everything. And, uh, she kind of made me the person I am. Not that my dad didn't love me or didn't want to be around me. It was up to my mom. It was, he worked and he came home. So we really never had that much of a relationship. We didn't do things together. We didn't go out and play catch. We didn't. I think my whole life I went to one movie with my dad, and so it was. Yeah, I mean, I could not fathom hurting my mother like that. No matter how bad I hurt, how bad I felt,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. I really don't know what triggered me, but one day I got up and it's like, man, I'm just going to grab my camera. I'm just going to go for a walk. And
I'm going to stop
it
you.
wasn't
How
okay.
how long had it been since you picked up your camera?
Probably almost 3 years.
Oh gosh.
Wow,
Probably about 3 years.
Okay.
it's a long time to
So
put that down.
it was. Now in that 3 years, I did pick up the guitar again and kind of thought, okay, I can write some songs, maybe get some of this out. Well, that didn't work, but I would still play once in a while. But I kept looking at that camera. It just something wouldn't let me pick it up, and then one day I did,
Camera felt
and
too heavy.
it did. It did. I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. There wasn't anything. I guess the one thing, the camera I had at the time, my biggest memory of that was me and my fiance. We went together when I bought that, and it was just a memory there that I didn't want to touch. I didn't want to pick up. I didn't want to feel. And when I finally did, once I got out into this state park, just started walking. I started shooting. I started taking shots and everything else. And by the time I was tired and wanted to go home, I got home and I sat down and I realized I didn't think about anything else out there except for composition, the shot, and my camera. And of course, I'm not touching it for 3 years. I kind of forgot everything I had to do. But, I mean, not a picture turned out. But I dove head first into that camera. I had to learn everything about it. I had to buy every piece of equipment that I didn't need or I needed. Um, I lived, ate, and breathed that camera. And pretty soon I started finding myself traveling out west and bigger, more grandeur, places to shoot, and things were starting to come together. And that camera pulled me out of a really, really deep, dark place. So it, I owe that camera a lot.
Gave you a sense
Um,
of purpose.
It did. It was an escape. And then I also found out that, especially when I got out west and to like Yellowstone and Grand Teton and out in Utah and Idaho, New Mexico, all the places I was going, that was the first time I was by myself, all the time when I shot. But not only did I feel insignificant, but it was the first time that I broke down and cried.
First time you felt it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was probably the most painful thing I ever did. And I wasn't expecting it. I was just on this trail by myself and all these memories started coming back and I just hit my knees and screamed and cried like a little baby and got it out of my system, I guess. Um, and I needed that. I really did because I held it in. I held it in for years. So it was pretty awakening. Um, but again, I was by myself all the time. I had one friend, childhood friend that him and I would, I mean, we were like brothers growing up, but as you guys know, you get families, you get jobs, you move different places. So, um, you don't talk a lot. So I kind of dove into that camera for a couple years, traveled a lot, just shot and shot and shot and shot, and that's all I did. And I really felt myself coming out of that hole, and it was feeling good. It was feeling pretty good. Um, I was in a hotel in Denver when I got a phone call that that best friend, like my brother, took his own life. I was going right back in that hole again. I felt so much guilt that I didn't keep in touch as much. Um, I was out west all the time. I really wasn't back, with friends and family and
You felt like you needed to be a better friend.
I did. I did. I felt selfish that I was going through so much with Tammy dying that I think I kind of forgot everybody. I closed myself away and just dropped out. And was there times he needed me and I wasn't there? I don't know. Well, obviously there was. I mean, or did he hide it that well? It, yeah, I felt like a pretty shitty friend. So, man, I was falling right back in that hole again. And my answer to that was I traveled more. I did. I traveled more. I just wouldn't stop driving. I wouldn't stop shooting.
You went back to the thing that brought you comfort,
Only thing I knew.
right?
Only thing I knew. Um, it, it was just the weirdest feeling. I felt at home doing it. I felt comfortable doing it, but I also felt completely numb doing it.
So
And I don't know if that's what I needed or if I didn't need, but I didn't feel anything when I was shooting.
Looking looking back now that you can realize that you felt numb, how does that make you feel?
I still don't know. I still think about that all the time. Um,
What
to be
when
totally
I
honest with you, I still feel that way sometimes when I'm out shooting.
uh, when I hear that, well, I can relate to my own way of feeling numb and making myself feel numb. And those are weird places. I know for me, like there's no connection. There's loss of sense. I'm with myself. I feel good, but it's like there's a blank slate and I don't know what to write on it. I could stare off into the sky and I feel okay. Everything's good, but I'm missing something. And now sometimes when I notice that numb feeling, a lot of mine was running from stuff, all that stuff, not dealing with stuff, childhood trauma now, issues, whatever. Just for me, once I started putting attention to stuff, that numbness would hit me right in the face, and I'd have to bring myself right back to why I was doing what I was doing. Because I could tell you, I could go sit on a pass on a mountain, and I could be dead to the world, but so happy inside, but there's nothing there.
Did it scare you?
Some days I was really scared, really, really scared, because I started gravitating to that stuff, and I would do it more and more. And I'm kind of feeling we're on that same we were on that same trail doing the same thing. And there were summers I don't remember.
Hmm. Yep. I have trips I don't remember. Well, I'll have memory cards and stuff. I'll pull photos off and completely not remember even being there or taking them. Um, there's for a while. I'm like, man, did I pick up somebody else's card? Because I don't remember being there. But yeah, I guess, I mean, I got scared sometimes feeling that numbness because I'm like, what is happening to me? Am I losing feeling for everything and everybody? And that was scary, and but then I would talk to my mom and my parents and stuff. And, it was always great because one thing I always had to look forward to was my mom was the first person that saw any photo I ever took. I never posted anything. I never made a calendar. I never made anything without her seeing it first, getting a first copy, anything. So that was a big motivator for me. It really was. We just didn't do like family vacations and stuff like that as I was a kid. So me going to these places and being able to show them what I'm doing, where I'm at,
What
it
the world
it
looked like.
exactly. It really gave me a purpose, and also knowing there was a sense of security there that if it ever got really really dark or something happened on the road, I really really need help, I knew I had my parents I could turn to for help. Not that probably all of us know sometimes, I mean, there's just things that you can't tell your parents either,
Hmm.
because I could never tell my mom exactly how I was feeling, or I'm feeling about just wanting to end it all and everything else. That would just
Break her
destroy
heart. Yep.
them.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you got to deal with that yourself. And, along the way, I tried making some connections and most of them just didn't work. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say that because I don't know if I'm different, but I'm not one that's for, or I just can't handle casual connections. I mean, I have them, but I'm not trying not to say they don't mean anything to me, but they're not, I don't feel it. I mean, I can get a message off of Instagram or something like that. Somebody will say, hey, great photo. We'll talk back and forth. Thanks. But when I connect with somebody, one, I keep my circle very, very, very small. Is that intentional? I don't know. Or nobody wants to be around me. I don't know. But um,
Could be a combination of both.
it could be. you know,
If you're
um,
already guarded, right? If you're
yeah,
already guarded, then your circle is going to naturally be small because the password to get in is going to be really hard and hard to find.
right. And what's hard when you get that way is when you get that guarded, it's not that maybe people don't want to be around you, and I fully acknowledge this, but it's hard to change. It's they think it's too much work to be around you, and there's just a lot of people aren't going to put that work in, and boy, I don't blame them. And so it's hard, So, but I tried making connections, and most all of them did not work out. Uh, then in the midst of my travels, within, oh God, I'm going to say 3.5 years, all three of my uncles died of two of them a form of cancer, one of Parkinson's disease. And that hit me hard because they were almost all three of them were around, and our family was so small. They were almost like three other dads to me.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the hardest things, though, is those were my mom's brothers, and that woman took care of every one of those guys until they died. that took so much out of her. And then I started feeling bad because should I have been there helping instead of out traipsing around in the woods? Yes, I probably should have been there helping, but I also know that if I was not traipsing around in those woods, I'd still be in that dark hole. So there was some selfishness there, I guess. I felt in guilt again.
I kind of feel like our parents, and this is just, I think you said something along these lines when we were chatting together. I think our parents want us to try and live our best lives and go out there and do the things and try and live. And um I don't think our parents want to be that kind of burden on us unless unless it is absolutely needed. I think when you show that level of freedom, it gives them a sense of accomplishment
Hmm.
because that's something that they feel like they've given you is the ability to do that, raised to do that, have the confidence to do something that they never had the confidence to do, like travel and take those
Right.
pictures and spend 3 nights just to get that one shot. Like
Hmm.
um I'm just trying to think of it from a parent's perspective, because you said something that uh and I know you'll get to talking about your dad here at some point, but when we were talking together, you said something about when you were starting to get to know your father in his late 70s, and then you know, you've gone out and done these things and seen these places and whatever, and you finally find out that your father's proud of you for,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But he just doesn't have the courage or the words to say it or whatever it is, and I
Well, and it's not
imagine.
that they were uncaring, but
Mm-hmm.
my mom or my dad they never told me they were proud of me.
Mm-hmm.
In
Yep, I
fact, I
know that
found out,
feeling.
yeah, I mean,
Yep.
but the weirdest thing is I found out from other people
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
how much there for a while. I mean, I do a calendar every year that is sold, and I will ship some back home for friends and people that know me back there. They, instead of paying shipping, they can go to my parents' house and just pick it up. And I found out from those people that how proud my mom was of the work I did and would tell everybody that I self-taught myself that. And she never told me that, but I found out from all these other people.
Mm-hmm.
And it, would I love to hear it from her?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, I know. I hear you
But
there.
it still made me feel really, really good,
Yeah.
you know, to know that she was thinking that. And but yeah, and I'll get to my dad, but so yeah, my three uncles passed away. Not too long after that, my aunt passed away. Then my grandmother passed away. Um, and I was still traveling, still trying to dig myself out of that hole. I would come back when there was issues and funerals or whatever. And I just felt at the same time I felt I'm losing everybody in my life, and I've got nobody else I'm bringing in as far as a connection. And that made me want to travel more and stay in the woods more and feel that numbness some more.
I was gonna ask you how you felt every time you had to go back home to deal with those circumstances.
Some of those were the hardest drives I've ever made. Um, Scared,
Were you
terrified,
dread?
dread. Um, a lot of memories that come back, and maybe a lot of regrets of, and I'll get to that later with my mom, but your regrets of, man, did I really have to travel that much? Could I have spent more time? Could I have called more? The times I did go back, there was times like, man, I got to hit the road. I want to be out there for this, weather peak or this or that. And could I have spent one more day? Yes, I could have, but I didn't. So you live with those regrets. I mean, you don't know it at the time,
Yeah.
and you don't even
Mm-hmm.
think about it at the time. Um, I was too busy trying to chase that if I started feeling scared or anyway, I wanted to get back to the woods where I'm numb. And I'm sorry, were you going to say something, Robbie?
I was just gonna ask. So, you when you went back to with those circumstances, you had all those emotions. How were your emotions when you were driving back to where you were going?
That is when the thoughts of all the regrets kicked in. It's kind of weird. I knew they passed away, and I didn't cry all the way home, but I cry all the way when I left.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and that was
I
a
feel
weird
that.
feeling.
I feel
You
that.
know,
I don't. I really don't. Just in my opinion, I don't think that's weird.
Mm.
I think getting there's all those emotions that you're feeling, anxiousness, whatever it is, right? Then you leave and it's over with, and you really get to realize what's going on. Then whatever's going on with your emotions and feelings, that's when you can, let loose and grieve those things that you're essentially leaving behind.
Yeah, it's
I
almost
think
like it lets you. It's the place where you finally take your guard down and let yourself feel the stuff that you've seen, heard, spoke about. You've kept the mask on, and I've done this too. Kept
Yeah.
the mask on. Okay, I'm good. I'm good. I'm fine. And then you finally get away and separate yourself from all of the things, and then you're going to your place of freedom. And that's where, like, for me, sometimes even be a song that comes on the radio, and it puts words to what I'm feeling or what I haven't allowed myself yet to feel.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, shit. And then all of a sudden, I'm feeling the things that I knew I was not even intentionally. I think you do it. You're trained. You're just
Yep.
like, I'm
Protecting.
going to, what's that,
right.
Robbie?
You're protecting.
Oh yeah, for sure. Right. Like you're just, that's how you exist. And then finally, when you have that sense of aloneness or whatever that is, and then your body can just let go of it. Cause I think our bodies hold on to this shit so fucking tight
Yeah.
that learning how to let it go is an art form all on its own.
And I think part of going there, knowing that okay, somebody passed away, I got to deal with the family I got left and funerals. There was a lot of unknown,
Mhm.
so I didn't break down. I didn't. I was concentrating. Okay, I got to be there for my mom, that's her brother, and stuff like that. It was when I was alone, driving back out west or driving back somewhere else, um, when I realized, well, that's another door to my life closed forever,
Mhm.
and that hit me. And that's when it would hit me, and and I went through that way too many times, and but I didn't stay at home and stay in bed and allow myself to go into that deep dark hole again. So I had to get back out and shoot. I had to grab that camera and just go. And and at one point I can still remember, I think I was in Denver. I don't know what it was. I was watching something in a hotel on a TV, and it was like a documentary on making connections and friends and stuff like that. I can't really remember what it was. And I made this decision of I got to do that. I got to try to start bringing people into my life. And my my following and everything at the time on Instagram was just starting to take off about that point. And my photography was really kind of starting to get out there. And you get you guys probably get them too with the podcasts and stuff. You get some pretty strange messages. You get, the people that's genuine and the people that's not by reading, just how they start out a message 9 times out of 10.
Generally
And
speaking, you can tell how somebody starts off a message whether they've actually watched your content or not.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
I seriously, I think that's what you're talking about, is whether they've
Yeah,
actually followed you or they're coming to you because you have something they want,
exactly. How are they invested?
and
Um,
it shows up as an offer to you,
right. Right.
right?
Most of mine gets the whole, can I get free photography advice from you? You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I get the most. But in that time, though, when I'm sitting there like, I want to make connections, I actually had she was just starting out. She was a pretty well-known influencer, but just starting to grow. Was going to be in the Teton area and asked me if I was going to be there. She wanted me to do some shots of her. Her and her boyfriend was going to be there, and they wanted me to do shots of her for her social media. And like, actually, I'm going to be there. So, yeah, I'll meet you. So, and we did some shots, and the shots really turned out great. Turned out well. Um, and it's something for me because I don't take pictures of people, but I actually did it for her, and it kind of grew. I started to be friends with both of them, and I ended up, I don't know, maybe over a year and a half, 2 years. I don't know how many different locations we shot at, and but nobody knew those were my photos. Her account was growing and growing and growing and growing, and now I think she's close to 2 million um,
Wow.
followers and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
I really thought, hey, I'm making a connection. I'm making, a friend, and we're having a good time. We're meeting different places, and we've actually had really pretty cool long talks over dinner. The three of us, and some other friends would join. But um, yeah, this is when everything started kind of going south again. Um, I made the mistake, apparently, of one of those locations. We just took a selfie, and I posted it. Hey, I'm here, shooting for my friend, so I won't mention her name. Um, she freaked out.
Hmm.
She's like, "Don't post that. Take that down." I'm like, what? What? Take that down. And after many conversations, I found out, that basically boiled down to is she didn't want anybody to know she was friends with me, or number one, taking those photos, and number two, basically boiled down to I don't want my friends and my fans to see me with somebody like you. So I was too ugly to be your friend. Is what it boiled down to.
Damn.
So that kind of stung a little bit.
No shit.
No, I'm not the best looking guy in the world, but damn, you know? And I was like, man, are you kidding me? So once again, it was another connection gone. And I just kept shooting and just kept it up. And I tried making other connections, and we ended up, I got into a group of, well, we talked about this here last week, other Canon shooters and photographers, and they were all guys. And it felt kind of good because their story was almost, I mean, not exactly like mine, but they were kind of feeling some of the same things. And we're all trying to like, how do we make new connections as one, traveling photographers, two, as men, and how do we make friends and stuff like that. So we decided to get together and do this program where we would pick somebody that, one, we thought were good people, uh had the drive and want to do photography, and it was somebody that we thought, okay, I want to build a connection with this and be part of their photography journey. So we actually, on our own, bought photography equipment, picked these people, and gave them equipment, but we had them try to come to like a central workshop somewhere. Um, After a couple years of trying that, that just didn't work out because it costs a lot of money for people to travel. So we're thought, okay, how else can we do this? And we started going to Canon, trying to ask them for help. And hey, can you help promote this? We want to try different things. And at first, they sent T-shirts and all this other stuff. And so ended up after we did it a few more years, Canon finally decided, hey, we're going to give you guys a pretty healthy discount on this stuff. Getting people shoot Canon, get Canon out on social media. Um, Try to get a photography journey going with somebody, hopefully, you give discount on this camera kit, they're going to spend another $20,000 on lenses down the road. Um, so what we started doing then is we all decided, okay, let's just, in our different parts of the country, let's pick 3, 4 people out personally, each one of us, and we will pick them, ask them if they want to be part of this. and give them the equipment and the option of, we'll come to you, help set it up. We'll come to you and help you shoot. We'll do little private workshops. We want to build a connection and be part of your journey. And so Canon gave us pretty good discounts, but we still had to pay quite a bit of money. We never told anybody, any of these people, that, because we didn't want any pressure. We didn't want any, uh, I guess, strings attached. We wanted it all to be genuine, generic, or generic, just genuine, that, and it's going to grow naturally, to do these connections. So we did that for a couple years. Then just this last year, we did it again. I think I sponsored 4 people with camera kits, and one guy took me up on the offer to, hey, set up my camera for me. And we had talked back and forth on Instagram quite a bit, and he had a lot of potential and stuff. And I thought it was a connection I thought we were really making. And so I drove to Nebraska, got caught in a blizzard in Nebraska, sat on the Interstate 80 for about 9.5 hours. Got there, set the guy's camera up, and we had a really good time doing it, real good time talking. On the way back, I was going back to Iowa then. On the way back from Iowa, I actually hit something in the snow, slashed 2 tires. So now I had to get my car towed. I had to go buy 4 new tires. And as I'm sitting in the tire shop, I'm scrolling through Instagram. I look down, he's got all the equipment for sale on Instagram.
Just
That
wild.
Same day.
Right
day,
after you left.
right after I left. And I was just floored. I mean, I wasn't even hurt. I was pissed. I went right past the hurt to pissed.
Right past there, yeah.
And I almost turned around, but I'm like, you know what? What's the point? So I mean, this year probably. I mean, I'm looking at it. We didn't do it because of the money or anything, but I think that those 4 cameras and getting everything, it cost me right around $8,000 this year, and plus 1,200 for tires,
Just to share your passion.
Yeah.
just to share a passion and try to build a connection. And yeah, and there's been so many, the guys I do it with, they've got some of the same stories. One of the people I gave them to this year, within a week of me giving it to him, totally blocked me. No reason. No message, no nothing, just gone. So I don't think we're going to do it anymore. One, Canon's using the tariff excuse to raise their prices, so now I'm going to pay even more. So I'm not totally buying that excuse, but I'm like, and do we really want to? They've been talking about raising prices for a long time. This just fell in their lap,
Yeah.
But so I don't think we're going to do that anymore. It's been kind of a colossal failure. So, and in that meantime, again, like we had talked before, I still kept trying to make connections, because I'm still so tired of feeling alone. But it was also a weird feeling that I also craved that
Aloneness.
alone time in the mountains and in the woods. I craved that as well. And I was coming back from Jackson Hole, and I got a call, and it was my mom, and she just didn't sound right. And she said, I just want to let you know, we're going to the hospital. I haven't been feeling good all day. I called the doctor, and they said need to get to the emergency room. Well, then now I'm driving 150 mile an hour, to get home. And what it turned out was her kidneys failed. And she ended up on dialysis, and she fought it for, almost 2 years. I just seen her steadily going downhill. And every day, I kept trying to prepare myself for that phone call. Um, I went back as much as I could, and I ended up, and in the meantime, I had moved to Indiana, made some other bad life choices, and ended up in Indiana. And I got a call at 11 o'clock at night, and it was my dad. He goes, sorry, your mom just passed away. And talk about your world exploding. That was my whole life. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't feel myself slipping into that black hole again. I went right to the bottom. And once my mom passed away, immediately anybody that was around us just kept coming up to me and go, "You got to take care of your dad now." There was never any, "How are you feeling? You just lost your mom." It was immediately into, "You got to take care of your dad now." And that was also the first time I ever heard my dad or seen my dad cry. And it, me and my dad never had that kind of a relationship that now all of a sudden I'm forced into. Not to say I'm forced into, but I got to learn to know my dad now. It's like learning to know somebody new. And because we didn't do things together. So now, I mean, my dad, thankfully, is still with us. The only member of my family I got left is my dad, and he's still with us. And he's had some health scares, and that I've had to kind of, stick around closer and not travel as much for. But I spend all this time now feeling so alone, but at the same time, I got to put that aside because now my dad's alone. He's sitting in that house that I grew up in, and him and my mom had their whole life in, and he's sitting there alone. So I got to be as close as possible, but at the same time, man, there's so much stuff that happens. I'm like, is this really my dad the way he has always been my whole life, or is he this way now because my mom's gone? It's a struggle, and there's times I got to get away from that a little bit, and then I realize I got nobody to talk to about that. Nobody. If I do talk to anybody, I message them first. Sometimes I get left on red. I don't get anything. Sometimes it's just a few sentences back. Um, but it's hard. There's times I need to get away from that. Not that I want to get away from my dad, but there's times it's very overwhelming. And I think we all know, if you've dealt with it, you get somebody that gets to be elderly, it's like they're 12 again. So all of a sudden I'm the parent,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard. Um, so I started kind of, one of the ways I tried battling going in that deep hole is I didn't want to pick up my camera, believe it or not. Once my mom was gone, the whole world felt ugly. It was, it's weird. She's been gone a little over 2 years now. And I was just thinking about this because, when you shoot, you rely a lot on weather. And it just seems for 2 years, it's been nothing but cloudy and rainy to me. It's not true.
But that's what you're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I was forcing myself to take my camera out. And I found myself just walking and walking when normally I would be in one spot for hours and hours trying to find a composition. I would look at something and go, yeah, nothing there. And I would walk and walk and walk. And I did that for 6, 7 months and never took that camera out of the backpack. So the biggest thing was, who do I show it to? My mom was the first person I showed every photo to. Who do I show it to? Yeah, I can put it on Instagram. I got 50, 60,000 followers, whatever it is. But I don't care. Who do I show it to? I wanted to show it to my mom,
Mm-hmm.
and she's not there to do that anymore. And now when I am on the road, it used to be that safety net of anything ever happens, I still had my parents to fall back on.
Right. And
Now my
now,
dad's 78.
yeah,
My mom is gone. I got nobody to fall back on. Absolutely nobody. Um, I did start trying to reach out, and if I felt a connection with somebody, trying to get that going. And that kind of goes back to what Steve said at the beginning about, now you're in that social media realm of trying to meet people, and you're automatically a creep,
Yeah.
and that's hard to deal with. Um, so probably over in the last 2 to 3 years, when I say my circle's small, even trying to reach out to somebody to try to make a connection, there's been maybe 4 people. That's it. That's all I've tried to reach out to. Um, how they're working out, one, I think pretty good. The rest of them, I don't know. I really don't know. Um, well, one of them told me I was too ugly to be a friend, so I guess that one did not work out. Uh, but um, I've always felt myself that I'm pretty good at sensing good people. Um, and and for the most part, I've been right. Um, so when I try to reach out, I kind of hope it's I don't know how even to say it. Because I
Genuine.
don't want to come off genuine, but yeah, genuine, but also the words I want to use is, I don't want to sound like I'm this conceited thing, like, hey, you're lucky I'm going to try to be your friend. But if I do reach out to you, it means something.
Yep.
I see something in you. There's something I respect in you, and that's why I'm reaching out.
Hmm.
And it's hard to put that in words without trying to sound like, hey, man, you just won the lottery. I'm trying to be your friend, because that's not how I feel about it at all. Um, so it's hard, and there's been a couple things. I mean, one thing I am horrible at, absolutely horrible. If somebody starts following me on Instagram, I will see what they post, as I scroll in the feed, but I never go to somebody's profile and really and look at their profile until something really clicks in me that, hey, I want to check this person out more. Um, in the last 3 years, I did have a woman start following me on Instagram, and we chatted back and forth on some photos and stuff. And man, she just seemed like a really genuine, down to earth, kind, awesome person. And we talked more and more. And she's not into photography, but she is kind of in the public eye, and she's an artist in her own right. And it the more we talk, the more I'm like, man, she is just the kind of person that I am looking for to have in that little circle. And I'd found out she was going to be close to me in Indianapolis, actually, a couple hours south. And I ended up driving down there, and we met face to face, spent a few hours talking, and I thought it went great, kind of. And the reason I say kind of is because I was freaking terrified and nervous to go meet her, not because of what she does or her art or anything like that. It's because I was worried about being looked at as a creep. Am I an online stalker? Am I,
And
you
you've got
know,
experience of being judged just for how you look anyway.
exactly.
Past experience. We all do this, and it's a form of trying to protect ourselves, but
Mhm.
using a past experience to
Shield.
predict predict a future result, right? Like
Yeah.
if this
Right.
same thing happens enough times, I need to look at, and I said this when we were hanging out, I need to look at what I'm doing, because I am still responsible for everything that I do.
I think we
And then
lost
I
audio
need
from
to,
Steve there.
what's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We lost your audio, Steve.
So,
Uh,
but
I was gonna say, something I've learned is, and maybe it's, once we have stuff happen to us enough times, we start manifesting that stuff, and
exactly. It's almost like I know what's going to happen.
it kind of sounds like with this last one, you knew what was going to happen, and you were really protecting yourself from it. And
Well, yes and no. I mean, she never struck me as that type of person at
yeah,
all. And she's not at all. And, but I went into it being terrified, being scared. Um, in doing that, I didn't feel I was myself. So, but we still talked afterwards and everything. We still got along great. But, I would give anything for another first impression, a second chance at first impression, because I wasn't me. Um, I'm very, very traditional and uh try to be courteous and stuff. I mean, I was so worried about her getting the wrong idea. I didn't offer to buy her a drink or buy her something to eat. Nothing like that, which I should have done because we were in a place that's what you do there. And so after that, went and met her that night, and God, I learned from her that she was more than actually what I thought she was. Um, she was so kind, so generous, sweet. I found out her dedication, her work ethic, my respect for her just went off the roof. So, but um, I don't know. I don't know how that one is. I don't know if she wants to be friends with me or not. I mean, she is very friendly. When I message, she does answer. But I'm the one that reaches out first, and I know she's busy as hell. So I get that. Um, it's just hard. As a man, it's hard. It's, to meet somebody, to find help if you need it. I just kind of feel like I'm on my own out there, and I'm sure that all you guys feel the same way.
Um, we had this when we sat down and chatted. What there's loneliness out there. I feel like if you're not a person that has some sort of inherent problem, and I say this because I come from an addiction recovery background where they say the opposite of addiction is connection, right? So one of the things we try and do is learn how to be vulnerable and learn how to connect with people and learn how to, and we share our story because, and we're also, it's like, it's encouraged. Let's to do that, to grow out of my unhealthy coping mechanism. I need to do these sort of things. Addiction recovery background, it comes with loads of different communities I can go out there and choose from to learn, to learn from, to meet people that have the same problem I do, that come from the same sort of background I do. Like you've met people that have the same passion you have. I've met people that have the same problem that I had. And with that came a community, with that came with a whole bunch of people. But if I didn't have that problem, I would have been in the same boat. Like and this is one of the reasons why Robbie and I started this thing is if you look outside of the recovery bubble, what is there for men whether it's to meet other men or to hang out as, I mean, we just had Frank on, and Frank has his own like men's community. There's men's communities
Hmm.
out there, right? Generally, they all cost money. Generally, there's some sort of financial commitment involved and that sort of thing. We are, and what you're talking about, and what I'm hearing, anyways, is like, where do I find the connection I need to get these things off of my chest when I need some help? When I you want some buddies. I wanted some buddies, and I'm like, I'm still, I want men in my life that are going to help me grow, and that's where I'm at right now. Is and you were talking about surface connection. People that, I mean, I can talk to you about the weather and sports and politics and all of this surface stuff where, and we can do that to get to know each other. But um like I run into the same thing. Like I can only talk about bullshit for so long or surface stuff for so long, and then it's like, okay, now we're just entertaining each other to entertain each other, and that's it. Like
Right.
um that that wears on me too. That starts getting difficult. I start um it's there's where's the emotional exchange is, I think, is what it comes down to. And that's for me. I think that's the best way I could put that into words. um I want to share parts of, I want to share life. I want to hear your life. I want to hear what you're about. I want to know who you are. who who
Right.
right? I want to hear that Brian is a guy that has a big heart. He cares about people. He cares about teaching people what his passion is. He loves his mom. He loves his dad. His family's important to him. Like those are parts of who Brian is, not the what Brian does. And we forget that. Like when we introduce, us as guys, we like introduce each other, one of the first questions we always ask is like, what do you do? Right? It's what do you do? It's the what,
Yeah.
not the who. But how do you ask that question? I guess it's a curious. I'm hijacking this for a minute. But I'm curious. Like, if you were a guy and I was to walk up to you and Brian, like how much of a weirdo would I be? Brian, how are you? Who are you? And then you'd probably tell me what you do, and I'd turn around and be like, no, I don't want to know what you do. Right? I mean that's cool.
Right.
Right? That's really cool. Your pictures look awesome, but who are you? Now, would that just be awkward as fuck? Like,
It would. And how would you answer
I don't
it?
know. I'm just like, I'm curious. I
Exactly.
almost want to try this now. I almost want to try this. Walk up to a dude, and he'd probably look at me like I have 18 heads and I'm a spider or some sort of weird man alien. But anyways,
But you're right. I mean, I think
I'm curious,
even when you try to reach out, you got to start with the surface level bullshit.
which is fine.
Yeah.
Right. But at some point, you just can't keep it up.
No, I mean, you run out of stuff to talk about.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think small talk is necessary to navigate through the weeds to figure out what's comfortable and what isn't. And so I think small talk is a part of getting to know each other.
Right. And I don't know if you guys find yourself doing this when you're trying to make a new connection, whether, no matter who it is, and maybe it's me. I'm different because I spend so much time alone out in the woods and in the mountains and everything. I self sabotage myself, I think, and it just pisses me off to no end. And what I mean by that is when I'm making a connection, yeah, you start out with that surface level bullshit. Well, you keep trying to maybe keep talking, maybe go a little deeper and everything else. Well, I can go weeks without talking to somebody. When I do get that connection with somebody, sometimes I get too damn chatty and I think it pushes them away. And I hate that about myself.
But
You know,
but that's not the person for you then.
fair.
Yeah, I was thinking, the surface level is part of a conversation. And Steve, said, who are you type of thing. I was thinking, if you just met someone, random person, you didn't know who they are or whatever. And if, like, we want connection, we all want some kind of connection, and it's easy to grab on a connection if we both share some kind of thing. So if, I approached you, Brian, and said, who are you? And you said, I'm a photographer. My mind, I'm going to go right into asking you questions about photography. Then if you came and said, hey, I was in a really dark place and, photography brought me out of a hole, I'd be like, fucking right on. Let's have a conversation. Right. This is my guy. I'm going to be able to talk to this guy. There's too much fluff in a lot of conversations because we're tiptoeing around, not trying to hurt others' feelings, especially with women or be the creep or whatever. If you ask a woman, who are you? We're going to get all kinds of random things. It's okay. We got to fill them out.
Right.
But I think that's really cool what you said, though, Steve, because it's just like, I think just hearing that, we got to find ways to cut the fluff out and find out if you're a fit to go deeper or if I just need to move on. And that's okay.
Right. And I think it's harder to talk to another guy like that
I don't know.
to find out who you are.
Well, I mean, and I mean, any guys are listening to this, throw in the comments, throw something like, do you have the language for it? And I mean, it's okay if you don't. For me, 4 years ago, I wouldn't know how to answer that question. I would have started out with the what, because that's all I would have known, right? That's all I would have been proud of is the what, right? The what. Yeah, I've got, Brian, I've got these pictures in X magazine and blah, 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 blah. Like that's kind of what we do as guys, right? is we try and share our accomplishments to build ourselves up like a giant dick fest, like dick size checking contest,
Right.
right? Like that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's like let's
Exactly.
gauge
Exactly.
who's where on the totem pole,
Yep.
and
Right.
that's where we start out. That's where but like in the end, I don't know. I want to know who you are now. I'm in my 40s, and maybe it's a like a 30s thing, but like nowadays is there's a value, and I have a lot harder time allowing less value in my life for the time because I'm valuing my
Yeah.
time more.
Mm-hmm.
And I
And
think it's,
yeah, go.
I'm sorry to
No,
interrupt
no,
you.
go for it.
I think it's a little harder now to do that because of things like social media.
100%.
Because I mean, I deal with it. We talked about it before that people already think they know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I get so many messages that, like I told every day, I get at least 5 to 10 messages that says, "I wish I had your life." And every time I look at that, I go, "No, the fuck you don't." You know, but they think, because if you watch my videos and stuff like that, I mean, obviously that's what I'm going to put out. Yeah, I'm not going to put a video out of me belly aching about my dad or something like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But they think I live in the Tetons and I live in a tent, and it that's what I do every day. Once they start finding out, like, no, I got a job, I got a business I got to run, I got, I have a house I go to, I got to travel to all these places. Well, all of a sudden they don't want to know who I am anymore.
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I think I did talk to about the one guy I did make a connection with on. We kept, he was in one of my workshops, and we kept kind of getting deeper and deeper conversations, kind of trying to figure out who each other is. And he was just amazed that, what are you doing here? Don't you live in in Yellowstone? Well, no, nobody lives in Yellowstone. He just didn't get
Bison,
it.
elk,
And
bear,
exactly. Yeah.
fish.
And he was just floored that I was in Michigan doing a workshop, and we just really hit it off though, and kind of hung out a lot. And I, really helped him go back and forth with, he was really into video. And, you know, I, I, I got a ton of video that I use for reels, and that I shot B-roll stuff and everything else. Cause at one point in that deep, deep, dark hole, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I decided I needed to do a YouTube channel. Well, I quickly found out that I don't have the looks, personality to be in front of the camera, and English apparently is my second language, because none of that was working. So I'm like, now I got all this video that I use for reels that I shot for this YouTube thing that I don't do. But, and he was another one that I really thought I had a good connection with. And it was a good probably year and a half or so that we were, hanging out at different times. And he was really getting into video, and he had this project he wanted to do. So I sent him my drone to do this project, never got my drone back, and never heard back from him again. So once you think somebody is starting to find out who you are, either they find out who you really are and don't want to be there, or they're trying to use you, is what I've found out most of the time with the social media thing.
Oh yeah.
And so it's hard. And I'm not saying it's hard for everybody. I'm looking at my situation. It's hard when you spend so much time alone out in the woods to meet somebody and have a connection. And, I'm telling you right now that one of the things, like I said, as far as being a creep, I just want a friendship. I don't want anything more than a friendship with anybody. And, but it's so hard to battle that.
And
And it is so hard.
culturally, and I've ranted about this already, but culturally, we there's those of us, there's people out there that are looking to make a connection, and then there's people out there that use social media for something completely different, right? And that's just to
Mhm.
throw themselves out there and get the attention that they want, need, whatever that may be. And culturally, uh, anybody, like any man that's trying to reach out already is essentially a creep anyways. And Like you're almost vilified now for
And you are.
trying. And I think we have to continue to fight through that noise. And I say
We
that
do.
because the more we give up on that, and I know there's nasty stories out there that prevent guys from doing those things, doing guy things. Normal guy things would be to reach out to men and women and have the courage to do that, because that's just what you do, right? That's how you make a connection. That's how you generate conversation. Right. And then it's the fear of being accused as a creep or being canceled, because that's where we go as soon as we have sort of a disagreement or whatever it is. Internet culture is really easy because you suffer no consequences, right? We suffer no consequences, generally speaking, for our actions unless you do something really stupid, and it has to be really stupid. Otherwise, you just get support for it, or you get raked over the coals for it, because it's easy to be an internet bully. It's just easy to be a dick. It's plain and simple. And I think the only way to combat that is to continue to show up in kindness. And I know it sounds ridiculous. It does. But I listened to a podcast today. It was the Minimalists podcast. And I'll advertise it too. Episode 444. And it talked about social media, and it talked about some of those things. And the guest they had on was the owner of Patreon and part of a band. But anyways, he talked about how to showing up in the world, and showing up in the world with a sense of purpose and a love and a want to improve it. And I really connected to that myself. Showing up, and I think this is part of what I started out with this on this episode with the ranty stuff. Like I really get perturbed with internet hate and people tearing other people down for what? Because you're only doing that because you're hurt, for your own benefit, to make yourself feel better. And I always try and check my intentions when I write a comment or whatever it is, because it's so easy to tear someone down, and it's really difficult to show up in love and to show up with kindness, to be.
And a lot of people don't know how to handle kindness.
No, they think it's creepy.
Yeah, exactly. Right? They are not used to it.
No, it's like I said, I think it's cultural, and I think it leads us to exactly what you're talking about.
And just to be kind gets taken totally the wrong way.
Yes.
And there's also two sides of this. Is one, like the girl in Indianapolis I told you went down to me. I was fucking terrified to go down there and do it. It was a big step for me. She was everything, that a great person is. But it was, number one, me coming out trying to make a connection anyway was terrifying on its own. Not to have to deal with the stigma of being a guy meeting off a girl off of the internet or whatever. But not only do we have to deal with those, but one thing nobody ever looks at is, the many followers I get just as many creepy ass messages from women as, it's true. We have made our own bed as men in this situation a lot by what some guys do and send and talk to women about. So I get that. I mean, and actually, the fourth connection I told you about is actually a wildlife photographer. She's absolutely amazing. We're becoming really good friends, and it is a good connection. And one of the things we started bonding over is she sends me screenshots of the dumbass messages and pictures she gets from other guys on the internet, and we've bonded like crazy over that.
Yeah, I mean, it blows my mind the shit people have the nuts to do, because if you were to do that in actual person, somebody would punch your fucking lights out, right?
Exactly.
Someone would eventually, like, you would regret. This is how you would get regret. In the internet, you don't very much regret things, but if you were to walk up and say some of the shit that gets said on the internet, there would be some dude with the nuts to be like, dude, you dumbass, and you'd get whopped for sure, right? Because you would deserve it. Right. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, we're getting I think close to the end here, Brian, with an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Wow.
Time flies, man. Time flies when you start sharing your heart and you're having a good conversation. So I
It
appreciate
does.
you. Robin, you got anything you want to ask or anything you care to bring to the table before we start shutting her down?
I've been listening, to you talk, Brian, and I mean my takeaway, and I think I mentioned this before, is you're looking for connection, genuine connection. You're looking for friendship, love, being there for one another, kindness, all those things that humans want and need and want to share. Also, you're a giver
Mm-hmm.
and you have no one to take. And the people that you're giving to are not giving back. And that happens with a lot of us.
Uh-huh.
And you're willing to throw it all out there because you care. And that's really important. Really important. I think your heart is there and you keep fighting this fight. And, you have Steve and I now in your corner. Anything you need, just, hit us up. We're going to be there. We're going to be we're going to be the ones asking you how you're doing. We'll do that. Steve and I do it with each other. We do it with other people. It's just what you do as a friend and as someone you care about. And like I said, we're there for you. I know other men are there for you. We need to, our tribes are lost. We need to start building a tribe back up as men. And without someone getting the water, or without someone killing the elk, without someone cutting down the trees, we don't survive. And right now, we really see that, especially with social media. Everyone's just left out there to fend for themselves. And I see you trying really hard. And a lot of it's falling on deaf ears. And I just want you to keep trying. We're here for you. Other men are there for you. And you're a wonderful human being. That's what I got to say.
Thank you. And no matter what I go through, I won't change who I am. I'll just keep trying. I mean, I'm not going to let it change me. Truth be told, the way I am, some of these people, even though the things they've done for me, or to me, there's certain ones of them that I will still be their friend and help them no matter what.
Sometimes loyalty comes with pain.
It does.
And
sometimes nothing good happens to you because you're the good that happens to other people. So,
and I think it all. I swear it all comes back around one way or another.
Yeah, totally agree.
So, in speaking about loneliness and speaking about, I keep getting this sense that I need to start something for a place for men that want to meet other men or whatever it is. Like, that just sounded like a dating app, which sounded ridiculous coming out of my mouth. But like, it did. I mean, that's where my head went next, in all honesty. And that's not what I was trying to get at, but you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean.
Like men's support group, something along those lines, where even the guys that are our guests or anyone else, like a place for them to land.
Yep.
That's something that's crossing my mind now, because there's enough people that we've had on this show that where, like, who do I talk to? Who do I reach out to? And I mean, maybe if we collect even a few guys and have a place to land, I mean, that's might be something worthwhile generating. I don't know. It's crossed my mind enough now that I need to put it out in the air. That I don't know. I keep going back to like the 25, 26, 27-year-old self of mine, that before alcohol started becoming my main coping mechanism, and kept getting worse and worse and worse. And if I decided to ask for help, I would not know where to fucking turn. And I would Google stuff probably, and the next hardest thing would be to have the courage to actually say, I need freaking help. Like that would be the next hardest thing. But if I heard some guys talking about it, or say, hey, here's a spot where you could land, maybe you'd show up and see what it was like and then disappear. And I think that would happen a lot. But if you know it exists, it's a start. And I think most of us just want to be heard. I think that's the thing. Like I think we just it lands flat in so many places that we stop trying. And you just want someone to be like, yeah, I know, man. I feel you. Is there anything I can do to help? And that's the next hardest question to answer. I know it is. Because most of the time the answer is, I don't freaking know. Well, make a decision and then let's see what we can do. But anyways, Robbie, that's something that maybe you and I need to talk about, because we both we're both on Telegram. Maybe we can do something.
Yep.
But anyways, always at the end of the episode, I said before we hit record that I was gonna ask people to subscribe, because I think it's like, subscribe. We're at 150. Let's get to 151. That's it. I'm not asking for a lot. And you know what? In the end, if you like the episode and you like our content, subscribe. If you don't. It's cool. I'm happy to meet people like you, Brian, who watch the show and reach out and feel like this is a safe place for you to share. If anything, that means the world to me, and I know it means the world to Robbie. So thank you. I appreciate
Thank you guys.
your courage to come here and be a part of our little nook of the internet. So last but not least, if you're a man out there, speaking of loneliness and speaking of reaching out, and I know it lands flat a lot, and I know there's it feels like there's emptiness on the other side, and if you don't keep on trying, from my own experience, it'll never happen. And I've tried a lot over these 4 years, and a lot of people have come and gone, rotated through until it sticks, until it connects, until, I don't know, have the courage, reach out. You don't have to be alone. There's guys here. Brian would love to, I'm sure, listen, support, show up. There's a bunch of us out here. We just need to find each other. So reach out. We're all on Instagram. And I think that's all I got. How do you feel before we round this one out? I want to know how you feel after the episode, Bri. How do you feel after?
Relieved. I mean, it felt good. I mean, it's good to actually be able to talk to somebody that listens, and it's very much appreciated, and it means a lot. It really does.
Awesome. I can only hope that after being on the show, you feel better than you did when you showed up. That's, you know what? I feel better. I feel more relaxed. I feel like when I go and show up to my kids, because anytime I do this and listen to another man be vulnerable, my cup gets filled up too. So, appreciate you being here, and we'll speak again.
All right. Take care, guys.
Take care.